Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, it's the 28th of December. We're here in Edinburgh with Joe and Mike's award-winning virtual tour. It's 3 p.m. here in Edinburgh on a very, very cold day. It's actually 0 degrees. There is ice on the pavement, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful today. But it's crystal clear skies at the moment. We are expecting some snow here. I thought I would continue on the story of Muriel Spark. So we're in here in the southwest of Edinburgh. The area comprises of Bruntsfield, Merchiston, Morningside, Warrender, the Grange. So it's quite a nice area. It's a place where tourists do not normally come. Now, if you remember when I talked about Muriel Spark, I mentioned that she went to a school here in the south of Edinburgh called James Gillespie's. This is the original school that Muriel Spark attended. And indeed, there is a plaque for Muriel Spark here. In Edinburgh, we like to acknowledge our women of achievement. And it's got copper in there, so it's a bit green, a bit rusty. But there is a plaque up there dedicated to Muriel Spark. So this school here, which is now part of Edinburgh University, it's university residencies, mainly for postgraduates. It's a lovely place. There's about 189 different rooms in here for the students to stay in. It's a great hall to residence. I love it. So this is the original Marcia Blaine, the one that she writes about in the book. So we're going to take a little walk around here, give you a little bit of history and some stories, but I think it's the views that you get from this area which are absolutely fantastic as well. And like as I said, this is not a place where tourists would normally come, so this is the real Edinburgh we're taking you into. And have a look at the apartment blocks as well as we go along here. These are great apartments. Now, somebody asked me last week about how much the apartments are, so I did a little research. There is actually one for sale here on number 4, so I did a little research on that. And they're requesting offers over, and there's 3 bedrooms, offers over £480,000. So in Scotland, we have a bidding system here. So you'll put your house on the market, you'll have a value on it, and you'll ask for offers over, and then people who are interested will then put a blind bid into the solicitors, and then the solicitors will open it and it goes to the highest bidder. So although it's going for offers over 480, I would reckon it would probably go for easily 600,000 in the marketplace. So you have to be very careful when you put your bids in. If you really want it, you put a high bid in. We also have a system of fixed price when the properties are for sale at fixed price. We'll just move over here if you give me safe distance there. And that's usually if you want a quick sale, you'll put your house on the marketplace at a fixed price, and that's the price it goes at. So let's have a little walk around here. There is ice on the ground here. As I said, it is particularly cold today, so there's no kilts. No kilts today. We just have to be a wee bit careful when we walk around here as well. I'm going to take you through the green areas of the south side of the city of this lovely part of the city of Edinburgh.
Would you say it's the location, Joe, in terms of price that drives the prices, like how near you are to centre of town, or the fact it's Edinburgh? Or
You know, the biggest driver in Edinburgh is the schools. Generally, it's the high schools. And here, I showed you that campus of James Gillespie's. Now, James Gillespie's is a well-established state school. It's a free school, a high-achieving free school, and they've got a new campus, which is only just a couple of hundred metres just to the south here. And so schools will drive it. During the financial crisis, I'll give you an example. Where I live in this area. I live in the Morningside area. And during the financial crisis, when people were finding it hard to keep their kids in the private schools, people were actually putting letters through our bids through our letterbox, offering to buy our houses because we were so close to the very good schools here in the south of Edinburgh. Let's go a little bit across the street here. Just take a little bit.
It's a nice light at the moment over there. It's just through the trees. It's
a lovely sunset.
Yeah.
So you can see this is all the local people in Edinburgh here enjoying themselves, taking advantage of the weather. It's nice and dry. This is where we come in the summertime. They have concerts, they have groups who play here, We're all safe distance. We all sit in the bowl around here, and you get live performances of various groups. But this is called Bruntsfield Links, but what I want to show here is how we revere Muriel Spark, because this is Muriel Spark Walk. Now, I mentioned James Gillespie's school. James Gillespie's school is literally 100 metres to the south of us there. It's a very, very good school. And people in here, there's 2 or 3 really good schools in this area, but James Gillespie's is graded as one of the top. Their school magazine that they publish every month is actually called The Spark as well. So they don't forget Muriel Spark. A couple of other famous people you might have heard of who've attended here, alumni. Ronnie Corbett, who's a British comedian. He attended this school. And those of you who are Outlander fans, Sam Heughan attended this school for 1 year, and then he moved to another school, again in the same area here. Let's walk down the street. We'll take you into the park just where the sun's setting, because we're going to get a good view. So going back to this area of Edinburgh, this area has also got the nickname of being Writer's Block, because apart from Muriel Spark, there are a few other writers who also live here. J.K. Rowling's lived in this area, for example, and we've got Alexander McCall Smith. You may know Alexander McCall Smith. He wrote the book about the best ever detective agency in Botswana and also Scotland Street. And we also have Ian Rankin, who lives in this area. Ian Rankin writes the detective novels. We call it Tartan Noir. And the novels are about Rebus, his character, the detective. So he did get the nickname of Writer's Block. In fact, Ian Rankin shares the same doctor's surgery that I go to as well. So I see him quite regularly in the supermarkets, and if I'm ever at the doctor's, I see him at reception area. Just a little aside there. So we're now in Bruntsfield Links, and what I'd like to do, Mike, if you could just spin around here, and you get a beautiful view of the Salisbury Crags with the sun on them.
Look at that sky, it's just fantastic. Yeah.
We're expecting snow today.
Yeah.
And this is a great place for people in the city of Edinburgh to come, especially people who live in apartments. This is their green space where they come. The area we're actually walking on here, on the grass, is actually a golf course. It's one of the oldest golf courses in Scotland. And maybe Mike can get a good view of the school, the old school, James Gillespie. Now, James Gillespie was a snuff and tobacco merchant. He made his money in the 1700s. He owned mills, him and his brother. And they became millionaires in their day, and they died. They died without any children.
I'm just going to scan around to get that sky
Beautiful
again over
sunset,
there, because
yeah.
It's just getting better and better all
This
the time.
is getting great. I love it.
It's
And
beautiful.
people come out in Edinburgh and
Yeah.
say hi, and you can see it's very well populated. Although we're in lockdown, keeping safe distance from each other. We've got lots of green spaces. I was mentioning that this green that we're walking on here is actually still an active golf course. It's a free golf course, and it's one of the oldest golf courses here in Edinburgh. I'll talk a little bit more when we get further down. But going back to the James Gillespie story, James Gillespie and his brother made fortune through snuff and tobacco mills. Now, we have taken you down the Water of Leith before, and they had a mill on the Water of Leith. They died without any children, and as is quite common in the history of Edinburgh, they left all of their money to the city of Edinburgh and to build schools for the poor. And so this school here, if you might get a really good view of the original James Gillespie's. This was the original James Gillespie's campus for girls that Muriel Spark attended. Beautiful building.
I'd like to say I'm just walking on the golf course at the moment.
I know,
There's
Mike's on the
nobody
golf course at
playing,
the moment.
and it's very
a free golf
frosty and
course.
hard underground, but it's really nice with the frost and this beautiful sky. Yeah.
And the sun is just hitting perfectly on Arthur's Seat as well.
Oh yeah. Look at that.
Now,
Fabulous.
I mentioned in the book how religion goes through the Muriel Sparks. Quite a few of her books, actually. Religion plays a big part. She turned from being Church of Scotland, she went to Church of England, and then she became Catholic. In this area here is where the Scottish Cardinal lives here, and there's quite a number of convents. And Muriel Spark would be here in this park. This would be where these girls would come to play hockey, and have their sports out here. And she would see the young nuns, because there used to be hundreds of nuns around here and 4 or 5 big convents in this particular area. So she would have been exposed to these virtuous ladies, as they would be known as. So you can see the constant contributions of just a general life in Edinburgh added to the books and the stories that she wrote as well. Let's move on a little bit further. We'll get the sun out, striking the university as well, the tall buildings of the university. Now, there's a little tavern over here called the Golf Tavern. The Golf Tavern said it was established in the 1400s. Now, I've not been able to verify that, because if it was, it wouldn't be called the Golf Tavern, because golf wasn't really invented in this part of Edinburgh anyway. But golfing started here in this part of Edinburgh in the 1700s, so this area is still used for golf. It's not used for 18-hole golf. There are 2 9-hole golf courses here, and there's one 36-hole golf course. So there's long putting and short putting. And it's great to come here on a summer's evening. People are out here practicing the putting, practicing the golfing, and citizens are walking through the streets. You can go do anything you want here. People in the apartments will come out here in summertime and have barbecues as well. So it's a great space for the city of Edinburgh, and that's a stunning view now of Arthur's Seat in the distance there. Arthur's Seat is an extinct volcano. We'll get a little picture here. It's 800 metres tall, so it's the tallest hill in Edinburgh, and if you can see it clearly, you may be able to make out the outline of the crouched lion. You can see its head, its nose, its haunches, and the way the sun is hitting at the moment gives you the perfect view. A great place, very popular for tourists to go up and get stunning views up Arthur's Seat, an extinct volcano, and then you've got the pink cliffs of the crags next to it. So here's the Golf Tavern, and the links here were used for many, many things throughout history. This is where the drovers would bring in their cattle, so there'd be cattle fairs, there'd be horse fairs. It's where a lot of the travelling people would come. They would trade and have fun fairs here. They still have fun fairs here in this area of Edinburgh, especially in the Meadows part. And this tavern, which said it's established in 1456, I would check the veracity of that because I'm not quite sure on that one, but they do say that it was established in 1456. And I could imagine there being a tavern here, especially for the drovers, where they were driving their cattle up from the border areas into Edinburgh, stopping outside here. They would gather all the cattle together. There is an area just south of Edinburgh called Ox Gangs, because that's where the oxen, the cows would gang. And they would gang them together and they would bring them into the city. So I can't imagine there being a tavern here back in those days. But back in 1456, the only people that really travelled around would be the very, very wealthy, and I'm talking royalty. They would have an entourage, or invading armies. And I don't think invading armies would be stopping at a tavern to have a drink. Maybe they did before they went into besiege the city. But not a lot of people travelled in the 1400s, certainly not by foot. Also, going back to the 1500s and 1600s, this area was known as the burial grounds, because during the plague and the pestilence, the bubonic plague in the city of Edinburgh, they would bring the bodies here to the Southside. Imagine this whole area was known as the Borough Muir. So this was a moor, and they would take them out the city across there used to be a loch here, across the other side of the loch, and bury the bodies here. So and today, when they do some construction to some buildings, they do actually find the human remains of bodies still in this area, because they were buried by their thousands in large pits. And also, it was said that even the people who were taking the infected people down to the infected bodies or the dead bodies, and the people who were taking them down, they'd be infected as well, and they would be dying on the roadside as well. So when they were building there's a hospital here called the Astley Ainsley Hospital, and they were building a new extension to the hospital, and they found huge remains in a pit, which was considered to be one of the plague pits. And there are areas in Edinburgh, in the south side here, that you're not allowed to build on because they are recognised as the plague pits as well. The Golf Tavern would have been the original clubhouse. That would have been the original 19th hole, especially in the 1700s. But they've got the little place where you actually get your ticket and you book in here, which is original as well. It dates back to the 1800s. So it's saying here the golf course is closed until further notice. There's no golfing here in the winter time, but this is just showing you here the types of golf that's played here. There are no green fees. It's completely free of charge. It's maintained by the City of Edinburgh. And the players must provide their own golf clubs and ball. It's a short iron and a wedge and a putter. In return for the free golf, all players have a vital part to play in maintaining the course to the best possible condition by following simple rules. Play each hole from the designated teeing areas. This is so Edinburgh loves rules. Do not hit the ball over the footpath. All footpaths are out of bounds. So you've got to keep it. You can't hit the citizens on the head with your ball. Do not hit balls on or off from the greens. Okay, that makes sense. And replace all the divots. I think it was me, I'd be replacing a lot of divots. I would think I'd be hiking out a lot of divots along here. The maximum of 7 strokes per hole, and there's no more than 4 players per group. So there's certain rules here, free of charge. And I want to show you the little clubhouse here, which I love here. And it's a original little hut. So there's a 36 hole, I think it's the only 36 hole golf course in Scotland, perhaps even in the world, because normally people are used to playing the 18 holes, but this is a 36 hole, and it's a 3 par, so it's 3 par per hole. Lovely little there. And at the background, have a look at this church here in the background. This is a gorgeous church. This is the Barclay Church. I mentioned before about Gothic or Neo-Gothic style buildings in Edinburgh, especially to do with the religious aspect of it. Edinburgh gives great Gothic. This is the tallest spire in Edinburgh. It's not the highest one. The highest spire is up by the castle, up near the castle. But this here is the tallest spire, and it's over 250 feet high. So it's about 80 metres. I think it's about just over 240 metres. Brilliant Victorian building here, absolutely gorgeous, and it just hits the skyline beautifully. And as the sun comes up in it in the morning, it looks rather dull at the moment. When the sun hits the sandstone in the morning, it's actually quite a golden look to it. Great structure. Church of Scotland, part of the Kirk. So we're going to take a walk around across the links to another big park called the Meadows. And the Meadows, Edinburgh loves its green spaces. And have a look at these apartments again in this area here. These apartments were built in the mid-1800s, same as the ones we pointed out before. They're all apartments, 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 stories high apartments, all around the Meadows. This is a very, very desirable place to live. And also, lots of students live there. So this is the original Brodie land. We would refer to it locally as Brodie land. The lovely high ceilinged apartments. Some of them are double uppers, so they're upstairs, downstairs. So they're not all just one floor apartments. Quite a few of them are double uppers, especially on the top floors. But there's just a skyline here is one of my favourite places to come. And it's really safe. This is what I always like about Edinburgh. It's such a safe city to walk around at any time of the day. You feel lovely and safe walking around here. Now, during the Edinburgh International Festival, the Meadows, which we're going to go into, is also plays host to large theatres. They build temporary theatres in the big tents. And one of the famous ones that comes to Edinburgh, and people in the UK might know it, is the Ladyboys of Bangkok. Which they're here every year in Edinburgh. They love coming to Edinburgh. Their shows are very, very popular, and it's a great place to come. So hopefully this year, with everything going well, the festival will be up and running. We also have the circus will come here, the acrobatic circus will come here, Cirque du Soleil, come and play here as well. And during some of the holidays, we have the fun fairs who come and entertain the locals here as well. So Meadows is still used. It's a great place to come. It's a millennial park, and now it belongs to the people of Edinburgh in perpetuity, so they cannot build anything on it. It's an Act of Parliament was passed to keep it for the people. In Glasgow, they've got, did I mention Debbie in Glasgow? Yes, I mentioned Debbie in Glasgow. In Glasgow, they have the People's Park, which is called Glasgow Green. So in our bigger city across the west, they also have a green or a green space that belongs to the people in perpetuity. And they were awarded that back in the 1400s. So it's been in the people's property from the 1400s. Now, a lot of sports are played here, so we've got golf played here. But if you come down here on the weekend, you'll see people playing softball, you'll have people playing cricket, all sorts of ball games, volleyball. It's a very, very popular place to come. And when we were students at the university, I used to sit in the university library, jealous of everybody out playing in the fields when I have to get my head into the books at the university, because at the School of Biology, and I'm sure Moira and Adam will all recognise this, and Debbie and Claire and Libby, we all studied biology at university, and our exams were always the last exams scheduled, so all the other students were free to run around and we were still having to have our heads in our books in the library, so we used to get really envious of people here.
We got a wee message from Harriet saying it's a lovely walk around.
It's a gorgeous walk.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not too much history to it, but it's just a great place, and it's a place where tourists would never really come to. So it's taking you into, you know, the real Edinburgh place. I mean, this is where the good burgers will come and just enjoy their space, play. Got a little play park here for the kids. Apartments. I don't know if Mike can get these apartments here, but again, we've got this very Scottish style of apartments here with the pointy hats on them. And again, there's apartments here. There's a couple for sale what I checked out, and the offers over 550,000 for 2-bedroom apartments on this side of the Meadows here as well, this side of the links. But very, 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 very desirable places to live. Again, a lot of these apartments will be used by students during the university time. They will be rented out to students, and the university will take temporary tenancy and rent them out to the students. Now, we always talk about Edinburgh being a rugby city, and we've got the National Rugby Stadium here in Edinburgh, but another national stadium that we have is this one here, because this is the National Croquet Stadium. I don't know if you've ever played croquet. I've never played it myself, but this is the National Croquet Stadium. So again, this has always been used as a leisure facility for the citizens of Edinburgh. We're going to cross over, take you into the Meadows.
I believe they give you lessons as well in there, how
croquet.
to play the game. So
I've never played it. Have you ever played it?
I have done, yeah. It's surprisingly difficult, because you would think just hitting a ball through a hoop would be easy, but there's a few kind of unexpected rules and so on that you have to follow. But
so here we have the sign here, incorporated in the
there
National
it is,
Croquet
yeah.
Centre of Edinburgh, of Scotland.
I like the pace. The pace is slow.
The pace
is slow, which is good.
But also, I understand it's quite
yeah.
tactical.
It's quite tactical, yeah.
It can get quite vicious, I think, as well.
It could do. There's these mallets, of course. So you've got to.
Not a game for sore losers. We'll just let these people pass.
Yeah.
Give them some space. So we're going to go into the Meadows proper. Now, the Meadows used to be a loch here. It was known as the Borough Loch. So just where we were was known as the Borough Muir. And this was known as the Borough Loch, or the South Loch. And it was a water source for the city up until the 1600s, but that's when they decided to drain it and open it up as a common area. In fact, you could bring your sheep and cattle in here. And I believe you still can, if you've got freedom of the city, or the keys to the city, you can bring your cattle. In fact, on Arthur's Seat, you do often see people, the farmers will bring their sheep in to graze. It saves on the city council from having to bring people in to mow or maintain it. But in the 1800s, the late 1800s, there was a huge festival here. The Victorians loved grandeur. They loved showing off the new technology. It was the new millennium had started under the Victoria. Remember, Britain's empire was all over the world. Remember that comment we used to say that, you know, the sun never sets on the British Empire. Wherever you went in Britain, or in the world. If you opened up a map, remember when we were kids, Mike, they pulled the map down and you'd have all these little pink places all around the world. Australia, New Zealand would be pink, India, Pakistan would be pink. The whole of Africa was pink. Then we have Canada that would be pink, and somewhere in South America. So they always said the sun never set on the British Empire. And of course we used to say, well, the sun never set on the British Empire because God did not trust a Brit in the dark. We used to get a clip across the ear from the teacher for that one. But this is the only thing that's left of this great exhibition that was held here, and it was opened by Victoria's son, Prince Albert. So Prince Albert Victor, and this sundial is all that remains of it, and it's got really great little inscriptions all the way around. It's all to do with time. So the sundial's at the top. It's got the names of the stonemasons, and the rocks or the stones came from all over the country. It's got the Masonic signs on here, so the masons could be identified, and some great little quotations around the bottom, all to do with time. And it says, "Light is the shadow of God. Time and tide waits for no man. I mark but the hours of sunshine." So there's good, nice little quotations. But this is all that's left of the great exhibition held at the end of the 1800s here in the Meadows. Now the Meadows was also the place where they had the first local football derby or soccer derby involving the two local teams here of Hibernian and the Heart of Midlothian. And the Meadows on Christmas Day at the end of the 1800s is where they had the first derby, attended by thousands of people from the city who come out to see their teams play in the Meadows. It's still a great recreational area. As I mentioned, not many tourists would come here unless they're taken in by a local. So we just wanted to show you this week some of the areas where the real burgers of Edinburgh go as well. And I think you can pick up some of the shields at the top here. We've got the different parts. We've got the City of Edinburgh, and we've got the Crown as well.
Would these be Mason's marks, do you think,
These are the
Joe?
Mason's marks here, with the little arrows going up there.
Yeah.
So these are the different masons who built this as well. And some of the locals have put the numbers for the clock on. Some of the local kids painted the rocks to give the time at the bottom here. Some lovely little quotations. A well-arranged time is the sure sign of a well-arranged mind. Man's days are as a shadow that passeth away. Time, as he passes us, has a dove's wing, unsoiled and swift, and of a silken sound. That's quite a nice one, I like that one. Time is the chrysalis of eternity. So don't forget any questions coming up at all, Mike, from any of your...
I think we're getting a lot of people saying how much they're enjoying it and what a lovely walk it is. So, and it's so beautiful today in the light, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it is cold, but it's
cold,
crystal clear.
Yeah.
And you just get this. This is probably my favourite type of light, and this, especially this area, or this time we have between Christmas and New Year. I like to refer to it as the betwingle, because we're betwixt and between. So I refer to it as the betwingle between Christmas and New Year.